Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to our Healy Advanced Trainings on Thursday. My name is Petra. If you are new to this training, welcome. These are advanced trainings, so if you have just joined our Healy family and you're looking for basic support, I would really encourage you to start with our Healy Academy. It has all the basic videos that you need to know all about all programs and how to start using them. Here we practice a bit of magic of going deeper and deeper so you can actually start exploring and sharing and expanding yourself. I am going to post in the chat all the links that you need, either to join my Facebook group if you need all the details and extra information, all the YouTube channels, the Healy APAC YouTube channels as mine if you need it, and you can access all of those videos and recordings in there. And in the Facebook group, you can also ask extra questions. So I'm just going to start sharing my screen so we can actually start. Oh, it is not sharing. Why is it not sharing? I prepared everything. I love when it does that. Okay, let's try again. Sorry for the issues. Normally it's working properly. Now it is. Perfect. Okay, cool. Let me just move my camera so I can see you properly. Here we go. Okay, so for those of you that don't speak English, we do have an app, which is an AI app. You can scan the QR code or go to Wordly. There's a link on the bottom. And actually just choose the language you want this training to be translated in, so your mother language or whatever language you speak that you are more comfortable with, and then you can have the translation on your phone and look at my face and everything else on your computer. Tonight we have a topic of emotional intelligence. I've been promising you to go deeper into this area with all the scans, and it's been a while. I wanted to actually share this with you. And tonight, I hope my beautiful volunteer has joined. I'm just going to see. So Angeline is going to be my volunteer today. So she sent me all the scans ahead of time, so we save, because we've done the trainings on the coaching and the aura and all the resonance modules and databases, and how to scan, and we've done also how to actually interpret the scans. What I really want to do today is I want to show you how I do my scans and how I utilize the scans literally weekly. This is what I do every week, and I have really simplified things for you. For those of you who are not open to AI, I completely understand that this is not for you. I will share a cheat sheet that you can start understanding the aura and the coaching and all the resonance modules. It is in our Facebook group. Our beautiful Katie or Kate Chisholm created it for the aura decoding or explanations. But what I'm going to show you tonight is literally how to put your scans into place step by step based on the emotional intelligence pillars. So there's 5 pillars. We're going to go through them, and I'm going to show you exactly how to put this in place in your real life. What I've been noticing in the last 5 years with Healy is that majority of people understand the scans. Well, they get the scans, but they don't know how the patterns are actually presenting in their real life. So we're going to actually give you that tool. So before we do that, let's do some, oh, sorry, let me just stop sharing because people are drawing on my boards. Oh no, I need to share anyway. I don't know why you want to be so creative, I guess. Here we go. Disable invitation. Perfect. Because then I don't see anything when you draw my voids. I love that you're being creative. Okay, so before we go into anything, of course, housekeeping, make sure that you understand that when you're listening to these trainings, when you are hearing things from me, hearing things from others, this is solely for the educational purposes. We know that And this is your responsibility for yourself, how you're using things and how you're interpreting the knowledge. I am responsible for my life and for myself, and I would really, really encourage you to be for yourself as well. We also need to understand that Healy and Healy devices and any devices within the Healy world are not intended to cure, treat, mitigate, diagnose, or prevent any disease or medical conditions, because they are beautiful wellness devices that have so much power and so much potential. And I'm still learning every single day. But unfortunately, they're not medical devices. Yeah. So we need to take responsibility for that. And we need to use it as beautiful frequency devices that, create an environment within our body where the body can heal. And they do not heal. So before we jump in, oh, Angeline, perfect, you're here, great. I'm just gonna leave you unmuted so you can rest, and then when we go through the slides, I'll pop in and unmute you so we can actually go in deeper. Her beautiful Angeline was so excited yesterday, and then she woke up this morning with a sore throat, and now she has a bit of a fever, and she's still gonna go for dinner, which is really good, amazing. I would probably stay in bed. But I admire you, Angeline. I really do. But before we go, of course, I'm always curious. I want to know, have you ever noticed the same pattern or emotional pattern or mental pattern or a situation repeating in your life? And have you ever wondered why it keeps showing up? Just pop in a chat if you have. Yes. Okay. So, patterns. You've noticed patterns. Perfect. Have you people? Okay. Yes, yes, yes. Perfect. Body intelligent programming remembers. Yes, it does. But not very frequently. Okay. Is it because you're not aware of it? You're not noticing patterns they're repeating very frequently, or you're not aware of it, or because you have cleaned up all the patterns? That would be amazing. Okay, perfect. You see it here. Perfect. Okay, cool. So my question is, if you have been noticing patterns repeating, have you been able to shift it? Pop in a chat if you have been able to shift those patterns in your life, or have you been just repeating it on a hamster wheel all the time again and again, and you keep on ending in the same situation, in the same relationship, not able. Okay. Yes, perfect. Amazing. Love that. Love that you're shifting. No. Okay, cool. Have been a perfect. Sometimes, okay, good. Yes, that can be tricky. So it's good to be honest with yourself. Why is it tricky? Because sometimes we can't really see what pattern is actually causing the situation. Why? Because we are blinded by emotions. So this is where emotional intelligence comes in. And it's really important to understand that emotional intelligence is not just, our way, like a structure of thinking that we have. Emotional intelligence is majority of times, and most importantly, it's the practice. It's the actions that we do according to the patterns that are presenting in our life. And it's really important to understand that, because if we mentally understand the pattern, that doesn't mean we're going to shift it energetically, emotionally, and physically. So we need to have a whole spectrum of things. So I'm going to take you through the 5 pillars of emotional intelligence, and then we're going to link them to healing, to the scans that we do. So this is how I do this every week. So let's look at first the basics, the foundation, so we know what we're doing and what we are doing within the Healy scan. So what we are actually looking for. So what is emotional intelligence? So emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize, understand, regulate, and express emotions in ways that build self-mastery. You become a master of your emotions and feelings, and harmonious relationships. Because why relationships? Why do you think relationships? If I change things within myself, how would that influence people around me? We are energy. And normally the environment that we have around us is literally just a reflection, a mirror of the energy that we hold within us. And be it suppressed emotions, patterns, that have been holding in our bodies or been passed down through generations, and sometimes we're not even aware of it. And it's really important to understand that the more we look within, the more we look at our energetic field and what's within that energetic field, and the more we shift those patterns, our perceptions, which are thoughts, our emotions, which are our feelings related to a pattern, and our actions, which are how we behave and are we choosing a different way of approaching things. So why is emotional intelligence important? It helps us respond instead of react. So we are reacting when we are coming from a trigger. The trigger just means suppressed emotion, an energy that hasn't been processed, and it's an automatic response of our ego. Our ego is just a part of our brain that has developed in ways to protect us. So it comes from the past, and it always will come from the past. It comes from patterns that we have learned, and it reacts. So it instinctively reacts in order to protect us. We want to learn how to respond to a situation, meaning that we can have a reflection of it and move forward. It also deepens connection with ourselves and others. So the more we have compassion and understanding about why we respond or react to certain things and why we feel a certain way, the more we have compassion for others, because those patterns will be automatically mirrored into the world around you, including the people you have in your relationships. Even that horrible person that you started yelling at the road, yeah, even that person, it's giving you a mirror for where you are in a state of being right now, even if you don't know them. Yeah, it also shapes our emotional resilience. So people tell, and of course compassion and leadership. So why does it shape emotional resilience? I have people all the time coming to me, oh, my nervous system is horrible, I'm exhausted. Well, yes, because if you are stuck in the same patterns and you have no boundaries, and you're allowing other people to walk all over you, and you actually don't, you are allowing it. So they're not doing it. They are doing what they want to do. You are allowing them into your space. If you build that emotional resilience, you also build your space around you. You also build resilience in your life, physical, emotional, mental, yeah, and you will see a world in completely different perception. And leadership, why? Because the more you change and choose a different approach, you become a leader. You lead by example, and the frequency is contagious, and others around you will start seeing a difference. And they will start, because they can't, because you will set a boundary, they will not be able to do what they were doing before. So they will be probably a bit confused at the beginning, and then in the future they'll go, okay, maybe I should try different. So you are now leading a new wave of change just by being yourself. And that's the beauty of emotional intelligence. And why Healy? Because it's an amazing tool. That's the first thing. But because when you scan Healy scans, like aura, coaching, creative homeopathy. So these 3 scans we'll do today. This is what I do, and I'll tell you specifically why. But you can choose any other, and you can use them in what I'm going to show you today as well. Yeah. And when we do scans, it reveals energetic patterns that we can't always see ourselves. Like emotions are blinding us from seeing the truth. And it's really important, because Healy, well, if you ever scanned yourself, sometimes you don't want to read that scan because it's completely true, and actually you don't want to see it. And then you just go delete, and you go, nah, I don't want to do this today. So, and that's okay. You have a choice. But Healy does not have emotions. Yeah, Healy is a technology. So it gives you exactly what it is. It's the truth, what's presented in the field. And that's why I love it, because honesty is my highest value. And that's why I really love it. And when we pair it with AI decoding, and I'm not saying AI give it everything. Yeah, we want to use this is all scans, are information. So our brain, our human brain, needs a lot of time to decode and connect and do all of that. What about if you can speed up that process and utilize language learning machines, which are currently available to us, to actually synthesize all this information and give you insights that you might not come up with yourself. And of course, always, always, and I'm saying this again, always, AI is not perfect. You do not give your power to AI. You use your discernment, your intuition, and you always check with your own life. What's going on with your life? But it's giving you this in a much faster way so you can start actually putting your steps to action so you can start shifting the patterns instead of always sitting in that energy that never moves. That's why I love this combination, because it gives me so much insight that I literally take the power back. And when we pair it with frequency support, Healy actually becomes a mirror and a bridge. And that's what I love. It's a mirror because it's showing our truly, what's truly present in the field is the truth. What's true in our field. And then the bridge is because it's supporting your nervous system, it's supporting your energetic shifts, so you can actually change your physical reality. And I'm not kidding. I do this all the time. I had a huge I had a huge challenge last week, and I actually did exactly what I'm going to show you tonight, and I shifted it in 2 days. So you have an option to do that, and it's phenomenal in today's world. If you don't want to use AI, that's okay. I'm going to show you a different approach that we used to do before the AI. So let's look at the 5 pillars. We have self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills. So this is what we need to learn in order to build our emotional intelligence, to actually have more compassion towards ourselves and others. So let's look at the first one. Self-awareness, what is it? The ability to recognize your emotions, patterns, and triggers as they arise. So when they come up, you understand them, where they're coming from, you see them as patterns, you see them as emotions, you can name emotions. And how do we use Healy and AI in this situation in awareness? So if when we run coaching and aura and creative homeopathy scans or any other scans, we see the patterns, we can recognize what's present. And then we can use AI to decode those messages and that information and synthesize everything together to highlight reoccurring patterns. Because when we look at few scans at once, you can see what are the major patterns that are literally linking across all the scans. So you can see what are the themes that are coming up. And what does this build? So we want to know where we're going, right? So what does this build? It builds awareness of what you are actually holding within your body, within your energy, and what's reoccurring nonstop. And what's something that's also ancestral or parental or grandparental. We're going to look at that as well. And also what's out of balance, because the patterns that are coming up for you, some of them, not all of them, some of them in our aura can be balancing. They are coming up because they're draining your energy. So they need to be looked at and have awareness around it so you're not losing energy. So what would be the outcome of self-awareness? So you can actually work towards it, so you have a reward, right? Because that's how our brain works. So let's say this is an example. I see that this, for example, a specific pattern of control shows up in both aura and coaching. It could be boundaries, yeah? And this is the main theme I need to work on right now. So instead of focusing on specific patterns that come up, you determine the theme across all the scans and you go, wow, this is what's presenting in my life. How do I shift the theme instead of individual patterns? So this gives you a wider spectrum of self-awareness, and you will see when you do this, you will see how the same theme is presented in different elements of your life. And then you can actually tackle the theme and go, oh, wow, if I approach it here this way, if I approach it here this way, if I approach it here this way, I can shift the whole energy, the whole frequency, which is really powerful. Second, self-regulation. What is self-regulation? The ability to manage your emotional responses and return to balance. No, this is not control. Yeah, I am not talking about control of your emotions. I can't cry. I should not do this. I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't feel that. That's controlling your emotions. Managing your emotional responses means that you allow yourself to feel, that you allow yourself to see things that you think that are wrong, which are not, because that's how we see them within ourselves, because we are wounded. Managing emotional responses also means, how do you regulate your nervous system? Because emotional regulation, which is emotional regulation of the nervous system, majority of us have never learned, because the emotional regulation can't be learned through the mind, because it needs to be modeled. So if, for example, you feel tense and something hits you and you don't know how to breathe, you don't know how to do stuff, you panic or you freeze or you just want to run away, right? If you would allow yourself to feel that way, normally what comes up, especially with children, is they start crying, and their cry starts to be literally, the sound of the crying is yeah, so that's nervous system regulating. So if you give yourself the same thing, so when you feel that emotion, just start breathing that way, you will find a way, your body literally starts calming down, because that's a natural way of your body regulating. And of course, there's other ways of doing that, and we're going to use AI and Healy to help us that. So we identify where the pattern originates from in self-regulation. Yeah. So with Healy, we have the report, and we know that Healy scans 7 generations in, 12 layers in. We can define, where is it ancestral energy, childhood, relational, belief level, all of that we can actually define within the Healy scans. And then we can use AI to give us information of where these patterns are coming from across the board, and give us nervous system regulation practices like breathwork, grounding, somatic releases, reframing, based on our patterns. So which exercise will benefit specifically for that theme? And we're going to show you that. And then we run Healy frequencies for balance and coherence, and vibrate that back to ourselves, so we can regulate the emotion, regulate the energy, regulate the field. So all of that you know how to do, but you need to now bring it into physical, right? You need to start shifting the patterns. So what does self-regulation build? It builds the ability to calm your nervous system and hold perspective before reactive. So before you react, you can take a breath and gain perspective of the situation and where this is coming from. Is it mine? And it's always yours, just letting you know. No matter what anybody else is doing, you're not responsible for their actions, but the energy, it will always be within you, because otherwise it wouldn't be presented within your environment. Yeah. So it's really important to own that energy, because that's how you actually bring power back to yourself. So what will be the outcome of working on self-regulation? So instead of snapping at your partner, yeah, when you're kind of grumpy and you don't want to take a look at things and you don't want to take responsibility, or when you feel unseen or you're wounded, yeah, instead of just yeah, putting everything on someone else, you pause, you take a breath, and you choose a different response. And normally here, a different response means compassionate communication. If you don't know how to communicate compassionately, I would really truly encourage you to read a book, Nonviolent Communication, which is compassionate communication, which is an amazing tool, yeah, that has been used all over the world. And it's an amazing tool in partnerships. And it will open up your eyes to so many different things. Third pillar, motivation. What is motivation? The motivation is inner drive to act in alignment with your truth and vision. Inner drive, yes, but to act in alignment with your truth and your vision. Not with everybody else's truth, not what everybody else wants, but what is true to you. So how do we use Healy and AI here? So first, we ask AI for real life scenarios based on the themes that come up. So we can actually draw a bridge between the themes that are presenting and the real life scenarios that can be seen or experienced in our lives daily. yeah, and where the patterns are actually showing up. Then we also receive practical actions and outcomes to bridge the current state and the desired state, right? Remember, current state and desired state in Healy, yeah? It's all great mentally, but if you don't know how to do that on a physical level in real life situations, and you don't know what are the steps and how to actually approach it and how to shift it, then you're never going to shift it. And I really, really want you to start utilizing these scans and actually making changes in your life. So what does motivation build? It builds clear purpose and motivation towards a specific goal, because you see how new actions, because now you see a different approach, you get a different insight, you see how new actions actually change your life. You can now see a different perspective that you might not have thought of before. For example, an outcome would be, if I express my truth and what I feel calmly and compassionately, instead of shutting down or screaming at someone, I will feel more connected and respected, because that's the energy that I'm giving out. And that's what I'll be receiving back. Empathy. What is empathy? Empathy is the ability to understand and feel what others are experiencing without taking it personally. Empathy is not the same as sympathy. Sympathy would mean that you would feel what somebody else feels and you would cry with them. And you would have someone in a hole crying and panicking, and you would feel what they feel, and you would jump into that hole with them, and you would cry with them, and then you both can't get out. Empathy means I understand where you're coming from. I feel and resonate and relate to how you're feeling, but I'm not going to compromise my boundaries for it. So that means you keep your space in order to hold the space for someone else. That is empathy. So how do we use Healy to build empathy? So first we need to notice how shifting your patterns. So you have the approach from before, yeah? So you start implementing the approach, and then you start observing how shifting the patterns actually impacts your relationships. So you're testing it, it's a testing ground, because empathy can't be just mentally learned, you need to practice it. And then we can ask AI to reframe others' behavior with compassion. What does that mean? So we need to understand that the patterns that we are observing within our own energetic field, and for example, we have a conflict in a relationship, we need to mirror that pattern and understand how that would be expressing in that person that we are having a conflict with. Because otherwise you wouldn't be having a conflict if the same energy and patterns wouldn't be clashing. Because I've heard this the other day, which was really beautiful. A conflict is just two people defending their own wound. Let that sink in. A conflict is only two people defending their own wound. So the faster you understand your wound, the faster you can shift to compassion, the faster you can understand that pattern, and the faster you can build compassion in a relationship and build communication, compassionate communication. So that's all it is to resolve a conflict. And empathy comes in this manner. So we need to understand how that reflects into other people's, in our relationships and in our environment. So what would this build? It builds deep understanding of others and ourselves, expanding compassion, our capacity to understand and love unconditionally and have compassion for others, even if we don't agree, while staying centered and in our boundaries. Yeah, so our boundaries don't go down just because we feel something for someone. Yeah, so how would that be an outcome? How would that look like? So instead of blaming someone for something, I feel compassion because I understand the reaction is also a pattern. So until you understand your own pattern, you will not understand someone else's behavior. So the more you understand your own patterns, you will see them bit by bit by bit by bit, and eventually it's going to be so clear that somebody will react and you'll go, oh wow, I'm so sorry, you're really in pain, because I can see where you're coming from, because I can see that within myself, and you'll have that compassion. And that is what's called emotional intelligence. And the last one is social skills. Now, all that we've learned through ourselves and build within ourselves, we need to practice with others. People tend to avoid relationships, but your entire environment is a relationship. You are relating to everything around you. And if you're running away from relationships, you're running away from yourself, because your relationships in your life are a mirror. Like scans in Healy are a mirror, your relationships in your life are a mirror. So if you utilize that as a benefit and see it as, oh my God, I can do so much through this relationship, I can grow so much, I can find my patterns that I can't find otherwise, because you're literally giving me a beautiful mirror that see where I am not free. It's my empowerment. So what do we build? What is the social skills? So social skills is literally the ability to communicate clearly. And I would say communicate clearly and compassionately, set boundaries, and build authentic relationships, meaning that you can be completely yourself, that you can say what is on your mind and what is on your heart, and you will be respected, and you'll receive compassion, and you'll be heard and understood, even if they don't agree with you. But you can practice that. Now imagine the world that we would live in if everybody would practice that. Now, how do we do Healy and AI and social skills? We integrate awareness, regulation, motivation, and empathy into daily interactions. So all the 4 pillars we are now integrating and practicing. We also ask the AI for scripts, reframes, or boundary setting practices. So how do I approach the situation? How do I actually say this compassionately? How do I set my boundary in order to keep my peace and my integrity without actually hurting someone? So all of that can be done really fast. And then, of course, we run Healy frequencies to align your energy with your truth. Healy has an amazing way of doing this. You vibrate things through resonance. You apply programs to shift your energy. And the more you work with understanding, action, practicing, and integrating and shifting the frequencies, the more you can shift the patterns in your life. So what will this build? Authentic communication, integrity, and a strong, healthier connections. Who wants that? I sure do. I need to build that for myself before I actually ask that of anyone, because I'm responsible for my life and my environment and what's in it. So what would be an outcome if you build this? For example, I can now set a boundary without guilt and still maintain connection. I don't have to have, people say cancel culture, right? I'm canceling this toxic person out of my life. As soon as I hear this everywhere on social media or people telling me around, I don't say anything, well, sometimes. But the first thing that I hear and see is you're running away from yourself, and you're literally letting go opportunity of you to set a boundary, and you're literally just canceling things because you can't handle it, because you're not ready to look at it. And it's really hard to hear that, I understand. But the only way to shift it is to actually look at it and literally face it. That's the only way. And the fear that we have around it, the sooner we face the fear, the sooner it disappears. So the same happens with patterns. And it's not about guilt, and nobody's at fault, and this is victim mentality. You need to move out of that and see, okay, what's the lesson here? How can I grow? How can I be a better person? How can I be more in alignment with myself? How can I be more true to myself? So I've done the work for you. Yeah. So thank you, Petra. Yes, I agree. I've done all the work for you, and I've created an emotional intelligence pathway in action for you. Yeah. So this is the pathway. So we scan, three different scans. I like to do aura coaching and creative homeopathy. Aura shows me energy levels and energy flow through the body and emotional patterns. Coaching shows me belief systems, right? Because we've had this session the other day. Belief systems at the top, thoughts, emotions, feelings, reality. Yeah, in between it's personality and then reality. So belief systems at the top, emotions in between, which are guided by belief systems. And then creative homeopathy actually gives you stress patterns. So what is stressing you out? Where's the pressure coming from? That's why I love using these three. Of course, if you want to do aura and coaching, great. And then you want to do Bach flowers or you want to do Australian bush flowers, great. Those emotional elements. You can, of course you can try anything you want. There's no limit on it. You can just try three different scans, just from emotional. You can. I just find these three actually give me a great insight of what's going on in my life on all levels. So we first scan, which is self-awareness. Then we use AI decoding, and I'm going to give you a prompt. It's a long one, but I'm going to give you a prompt. So it helps you actually see where these patterns are coming from and how to regulate them, which is self-regulation, if you get triggered. Great tools for you to have. And then we use AI action planning, which actually give you action steps to create vision and motivation, which motivates you to shift and change things in your life. And then we have life pattern reflection, which is how these patterns are affecting in other people or environment, and it expands your compassion, which we build empathy. Then we have applied practice, which means social skills. We build and integrate all of that in real world situations. Yeah, we literally need to practice this. So in this situation, Healy provides the mirror and the frequency support. AI provides the decoding plus contextual action plan. So we literally have an action plan in a minute. Yeah. Yes, there's a you in there, in this. You provide the courage. You need the courage and you need to implement. So you need to have the implementation of all of that. The scans, the tools, everything that you have in your life, they are no good if you do not gain the courage to implement. Done. Without you, nothing happens. Yeah, even if you scan and if you vibrate, even if you vibrate and you're not aware of it, a situation in your life will happen that will actually force you to do something with it. So you're better off being aware. So when the situation happens, you go, oh, I can see you now, pattern. I can now choose a different approach, which makes you empowered. Yeah. So all of it together, this becomes a living practice of building your emotional intelligence through frequency and awareness work. So we have the foundation, yeah? So now let's do the magic. So don't get scared. This is the prompt, yeah? I'm gonna give you the prompt. You can copy and paste it. I'll post it in the Facebook group as always. Don't stress. I literally put all the pillars in here and I'm gonna show you how to do this in AI. So I'm just going to stop this sharing now so we can do this. Angeli, are you here? So I can actually unmute you and we can dive into. Oh, before I do, I just want to ask you, does everybody know how to export a file like the scan? I just want to know if you know how to export a scan. Just pop in the comments if you know, so I don't need to show you. But if you don't, I do need to show you then. Just want to know if everybody knows. Okay, you do, so I don't need to show you. Okay, perfect. So we save time. Okay, if you don't know, then okay. Question marks. I think I'm going to do this either way. Okay, so you can see my phone now. I'm just gonna move this so I can see it. Come on. Sorry, that's just my iPhone connecting. I literally connected my Healy, and when iPhone disconnects, I'm sorry, this is not Healy, this is just my iPhone. And it's not, every time it disconnects from the phone and goes into the computer, it disconnects the Healy. I don't know why. My Healy was connected before, so it should be right now. Here. Okay. So that should be okay. Can you, yeah, you can see my phone now, right? Just give me thumbs up, some of the ones that you have. Okay, perfect. Okay, okay. So the way you export a scan is if you go into the Aura, for example, you scan the Aura, yeah. So you go Aura scan, blah blah blah. You scan the Aura. So I've just done it, so I'm just going to shorten it. So I'm going to scan the Aura and go into the patterns. So when you have, like, when you're in the patterns, you go into the three dots, export PDF. It's going to give you a PDF. Then depending if you have an iPhone or Android, it's going to give you different options. So iPhone has an option on the bottom where you can just share it and send it to email or messenger, whatever you want. Android, depending on which one you have, you can share it through the burger menu or the three dots and then find a way to actually export it. But that's the way you do it. So you do that and literally download it onto your computer or on your phone, whatever works best. And then you open an AI. So I'm going to show you what I use, but you can use whatever you want. Yeah. So I already copied and pasted the prompt. Yeah. I like to call my AI G. That's okay. You can find different names if you want to. You can use whatever you want. Yeah. But I gave you a template so you can put that name in there. I have also added a cheat sheet for the AI to interpret all the scans. So the cheat sheet you will find in the Facebook group, it looks like this. So Katie actually did this, and it will give you all the percentages, all the intensity, everything that you need to do for and need to have for interpretation of the scan. So if you don't want to use AI, you are more than welcome to actually use this. It also gives you the colors within the aura. When you have the aura, you know, like root chakra, and then you have a root chakra shining in solar plexus yellow color. Yeah, so it gives you what these colors are as well, so you can actually figure out and interpret the scan. But I literally just uploaded this document into AI and copy pasted the prompt, and I will upload the scans that Anjali actually sent me. So that's her aura scan, her coaching, and her resonance. Yeah, which is the creative homeopathy. So I'm just going to pop that in. Just so you know, I'm using Grok because Grok is free. You can access it and you can upload as many files as you want. With ChatGPT, you only have up to 3 files to upload for a free version. And I love Grok because it gives me a better result compared to ChatGPT for this. So I'm just using it this way, but you can use any AI if you want to, if that's what you want. So all you have to do is literally click play, and then it's going to start thinking. And while it's thinking, I'm just going to call Angelique. Can you pop your hand up so I can see you, so I can unmute you, hun? Oh, here you are. Perfect. Can you hear me? Can you unmute?
I can.
Ah, perfect. Thank you. Hi, Anjali.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here and sharing your vulnerability and your life with us. So all of the scans Anjali did this morning. Anjali, may I share the information about the aura with the low percentage so I can share with everyone that that's a normal thing?
Yes, you may.
Perfect. So Anjali sent me a message. Am I pronouncing your name correctly? Angeline?
Angeline is correct.
Angeline. Okay. So Angeline sent me a message this morning while this is working, asking me if, you know, her aura was 9% and if this is usable. and I was literally saying that it's not that uncommon. When we are sick or when we are really depleted, our auras can be really low. My lowest aura was one time 4%. You don't want to be at 4. Just letting you know that it's not as uncommon. So if you uncover your aura total percentage is really low, that just means that the energy is not flowing through the chakras properly. There's a blockage there. And it's good to actually utilize this to go deeper into it. Yeah. So now AI did his work. Yeah. Or its work. And I've actually structured the prompt exactly to give you bullet points, to give you exactly what you need so you can extract specifics. Yeah. First, he's going to give you the summarization of what it did, and then the first point. So we're going to look at now, Angeline, patterns that come up from all the reports. I haven't done the reports before, so this is the first time me reading it. So what it comes up is the scans reveal active imbalances in emotional regulation, self-esteem, trust, and relationships, with strengths in higher chakras like crown and heart. Repeating patterns include emotional suppression, seeking external security, and in incoherences in thoughts, emotions, and actions, yeah, which are LM patterns, which are spiritual and mental perceptions of the world. And this is based on a cheat sheet, yeah. Low energy in lower chakras, which are root, sacral, and throat, and contrasts with high energy in upper ones, suggesting grounded action is needed to harmonize. Yeah, so let's look at the patterns, the top patterns, and then we're just going to look at the top one for the below actions. Yeah, so the top one is emotional suppression and control. Second one is trust and responsibility issues, sexuality and parenthood fears, harmony in higher aspects. So the top one is emotional suppression and control. Sometimes words can be really harsh. So emotional suppression and control just means that sometimes we can't feel our emotions, and because sometimes they're too deep, and sometimes we want to control it because we're going to feel pain feeling those emotions. Yeah. So it literally gives us, based on the scans, where that's found. So it's seen in resonance, which is your creative homeopathy, stress patterns, lack of willpower from disciplining emotions and ability to act, and in aura, which is controlling feelings and emotional independence. So that means that expressing emotions is an important part. Yeah. And then, of course, it's going to go into details. But I love the harmony and high aspect. So it's also give you where you are really good at. And sometimes that also means overcompensating. Sometimes it means it's actually giving you a great pathway forward. So in harmony and high aspects means high crown and heart and solar plexus. Those are three chakras that are really high for you. And energy, all that energy in those chakras actually indicates strong spiritual mental potential. Yeah, but lower chakras need anchoring. So what I read from this is you have so much potential, but you can't bring it down into physical because you're not grounding. You're not coming into the body. You are either always in the head, yeah, trying to overanalyze and not really allowing yourself to be in the body and really ground yourself. Yeah. Does this resonate at all? Oh, you need to unmute, honey.
Yep.
Yeah. It's okay. That's not a judgment. I really want everybody to understand that looking at these reports, this is actually great because you can see where you are lacking, you can build up, and where you're great and where there's huge amount of potential that you can actually tap into. And I really want everybody to look at this as non-judgmental approach. This is not better or worse or good or worse. Like this is it. This is what it's right now, and this is what you need. You need support in these areas, and you need support in these areas in order to thrive. And that's what we're going to do. Yeah. So in summary, for the self-awareness, it shows that the scans show you're in a phase of harmonizing stress from past conditioning. So that means that old patterns from childhood or from past relationships or anything that was from past that was quietly deeply seated, you're now in a transition pattern of harmonization, which is great. So you've been doing the work and you're now really coming to your own self, which is amazing. Where also emotions feel divided and controlled. So sometimes you don't know where, if you could feel it or not, if you can express it or not. leading to low grounded energy. So meaning that if you're not grounded, you are keeping all this stagnant energy within yourself, and that can cause anxiety. It can cause sleepless nights, insomnia. There's like imbalances in hormones. There's so many things that can happen just by that energy being stuck. You're ready for deep self-acceptance and responsibility with your strong upper chakra supporting spiritual growth. The overall message is to release external dependencies. So old needs to go. Yeah, you are now becoming a new person, and embrace that. Embrace authentic emotions, and it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to share what you really feel, and be okay that even if others judge you, you are not judged because they're coming from their own perspective. And trust life's flow for greater abundance and fulfillment. So the more, what it's saying is the more you leave the past behind and detach, the more you embrace how you're really feeling in your body, the more you're going to get abundance and fulfillment in your life. Yeah, so that's really major. You're great in a great transition. So how do you build self-regulation for those patterns? So it says based on patterns, the origin of these patterns is tied into family ancestral influences, which is parents and grandparents, or ancestral up to 7 generations, and childhood conditioning, which comes from upbringing. Educational patterns in coach module show that, and possible karmic emotional charges, yeah, which is something that we bring through generations and lives and reincarnations. And sometimes that could also be not completely yours, it could be also family karmic energies. And let's look at the top one, which is emotional suppression and control. So this likely originates from childhood, which is chronic disciplining of emotions in resonance, which is creative homeopathy, and obstructive educational patterns, which are in coach module, or family. So childhood and family, which are through parents feeling ideal roles in like through aura. So there's an ideal picture that needs to be shifted into a reality. So how do you practice self-regulation based on that? So to actually release that, breath work is recommended. So it recommends the breath work 4-7-8 breathing. So 4-7-8 actually releases suppressed feelings and grounds. It also resets your nervous system. So if you feel agitated when you do 4-7-8 breath work, which is literally inhale for 4 counts, hold for 7, exhale for 8. If you can't, what I tend to advise is to actually do what we call psychological sigh, which is a double inhale and slow exhale. So you inhale completely, and then when you're at the top, you inhale really fast, and then you release at least counting to 8. Yeah, so that actually showed through science now, the new research shows that lowers cortisol in like by 50% in less than 5 minutes. So that's something that prepares your body to open up the lungs, and then you move into 4-7-8, because emotions are stored within our organs and our fascia, and breath work actually moves the energy through the body to release it. And it gives you other exercises based on the patterns, and I'll share this with you later. So it also gives you Healy frequencies to support. Be mindful, AI is not perfect, so sometimes the names will be different, but it gives you general kind of perception of what you need to support. So emotional balance, I would say probably emotional well-being in the mental program would be releasing gold. And of course, vibrating your aura, your coaching, and your creative homeopathy to actually shift the proper frequency of the patterns. I would start with, if you have not done a lot of frequency on yourself, like a longer periods, I would start with like 12 minutes, 6 to 12 minutes. But when you actually start shifting patterns more and more and more, I found 27 minutes for aura coaching and creative homeopathy really work for me. Sometimes if I have like stubborn patterns, like ancestral patterns, I sometimes run aura, or if I'm working on belief system coaching. throughout the night for 8 hours, and then go back to 6 to 12 minutes per day. Yeah, so that could be also an option to shift. And then the third pillar is motivation. So what will actually motivate you to shift these patterns so you can move forward and actually integrate all of this into your life? So let's look at where they show up so you can actually start relating to those patterns and actually start approaching them. So these patterns might show up in real life as hesitating to express needs in relationships, emotional dependence, this is what is showing up, overgiving to feel secure, so happiness tied to others, or avoiding commitments like parenthood due to fear. You may notice procrastination from lack of willpower or feeling divided in decisions. Does any of this resonate?
Quite a number. I do overgive, and a lot of people are always very happy with the results, but I kind of feel like it drains me a lot. I do avoid commitments, and I actually do walk out on quite a number of things when I don't like it. Procrastination is my number one weakness, you want to put it that way. Lack of willpower, definitely. So I do resonate quite a lot with this.
Great. So you can start shifting this. So definitely overgiving means you need boundaries, because otherwise, if you don't have boundaries, then your aura will be regularly on 9%. So you need to build that up, right? So boundaries is what keep your energy in your space. So let's look at 3 practical action steps. So it gives you daily journaling. So spending 10 minutes reflecting on one pattern. So for example, emotional control. So you can note triggers and reframe with desired states from scan. So for example, you can look at the scan and you can look at the aura or coaching and you can look at the statement and then you reframe it and you start journaling on that. So you go, for example, I let feelings flow freely. So for example, a good one is to journal is, for example, I'm not allowed to express, and then you journal on that and then you shift it into I let feelings flow freely, and then you see what comes up when you journal on that. So that actually helps you give perspectives of both sides, and you can see where the bridge is. And sometimes patterns come up that way. I'm not a writer, so I like to talk. So I just voice record myself based on that, and then I listen backwards. And when I listen, I actually hear vibrations of certain words that I say, because that's how I do things and how I work. But if you prefer journaling, writing down, and that's okay what you want, that's perfectly fine as well. Work with what you want to do. Set small boundaries. So don't have, climbing mountains, because people tend to go, I want to set a boundary, but then I don't do it. And then I tried to set boundary and then it didn't work. And, and then I was even more drained and I don't want to do it anymore because it hurts. And it's like all this, hamster wheel. And I understand. Start small. Yeah, start saying no to small things, and then every time you say no, you're going to be more confident. This one here gives you, for example, practice saying no once a day to external demands. So somebody asks you for extra time or wants and demands your time and presence. And you just say, thank you, but unfortunately, I will go to the approaches. But just small things, saying no, even if it's one thing per day, will build. Trust me, it will build your confidence. And start with low stakes situations. Don't do it with your clients if you feel like you have the responsibility towards them. Don't do it, go right into your parents, because there's a lot of wounding in there. So try with friends and people you kind of feel comfortable with saying no, and then build on that. Yeah. And you also, the way that I like to look at boundaries is, am I keeping a promise to myself? So if I go and say, I want to feel energized and something is taking away my energy, am I keeping a promise to myself? Because if I'm not keeping a promise to myself to stay energized, I'm actually betraying myself. And if I'm betraying myself, oops, I'm going to attract betrayal. So make sure that you're keeping promises to yourself by saying no and setting boundaries to others so you can be recharged, because you're not going to be useful to anyone without you being recharged and fully energized. And then engage in creative expression. I love these. So use art, dance, or writing weekly to authentically live emotions. I love dancing. So for me, I once a week it's a must. I just put on music on and I dance and I feel all the emotions that are coming up. I don't judge them. I don't, I scream, I yell, I laugh, I do all of it. My neighbors think I'm crazy, but that's fine, because I need that self-expression and I'm not suppressing emotions. I'm actually allowing my expression to flow. And when I'm allowing that for myself, it's easier to actually express what I'm feeling with others as well. So, what are the positive outcomes so you can actually be motivated to change? So, you can start working on them. So, you'll feel more empowered and abundant. You will definitely feel more empowered and abundant. I can tell you the first time I set my boundaries, I was shaking. And after a month of setting my boundaries, I didn't want to stop. It's like addiction. Like you just don't want to stop setting boundaries because you get so much energy back and you feel so good. And the empowerment is just, it's amazing. So keep doing this. And of course, you will have deeper trust in yourself and life, which means that you'll build intuition. And imagine, for example, it says, imagine effortless decisions, fulfilling relationship without dependence. So meaning that you're free of choosing what you would like, and radiant happiness that attracts opportunities, which is what we all want, right? This is what we call alignment. And energy levels will rise, so mean that you will have more energy, you'll be more energized, and leading to inspired action, better health, and a sense of infinite abundance, motivating sustained change. Meaning that you're not going to be needing to push things, but you're actually going to be able to move with the energy and the flow. Okay, let's look at empathy. How do we build empathy for us, for ourselves, and others? So the same patterns that we looked at, that are in you may also be mirrored in others as over controlling behaviors, people pleasing, or avoidance of vulnerability stemming from their own unhealed wounds. So this is something to be aware of. So when you look at in your life, when we read this, I want you to think about where in your life situations, relationships, anywhere, are you noticing these behaviors and these situations coming up for you in the environment? Yeah. So, for example, emotional suppression can come as friends or family might seem distant or reactive, influenced by childhood repression or ancestral stress. Security seeking could be partners could cling or seek validation from past relationships or belief systems or scarcity, like your money, poverty themes. Yeah. And then trust issues, a colleague or colleagues may micromanage things, trying to squeeze and pressure due to divided thinking, feeling, yeah, within them, or karmic family patterns of control. And then sexuality, parenthood fears, loved ones might avoid intimacy or commitment, rooted in parental insecurities or emotional wounds. And then imbalances are others with strong upper chakras, but weak lower ones might intellectualize emotions from avoiding root themes. Does any of these sound similar to things that are happening in your life and environment?
Yes, I do had uh, bosses that were not just micromanaging, I call it nano managing.
Oh
That
my
was
gosh.
beyond micro. Right. For example, I used to have, as a senior manager, I wrote out an email and wrote something, and my boss would forward to the same group of people and copy and wrote exactly the same thing I wrote. And I was like, what was that all about? Or my boss didn't allow me to wear my clothes and wanted me to wear her clothes
Oh,
and
wow,
felt that my
okay.
clothes were suitable, or at the ATM machine said I shouldn't stand on the left, I must stand on the right. And I just felt that that was encroaching into my personal space beyond
Yes.
the arena of work.
Okay, so this could be either the trust issues, the imbalances. So all of these are within you. So the faster you're going to shift that within yourself, what happens is in my experience, people kind of automatically go out of your life, or you lose a job and you find a new one, or there's just a shift in an environment when you actually take responsibility for these actions, because these patterns are within you, but they're presenting in your own environment as a mirror. So they're teaching you, hey, look at me, look at me, look at me. This is what you need to look at. It's not working. You need to start working on this so you can shift and actually go back into alignment and balance. So every situation in our life, every person in our life that comes into our life is literally giving us a mirror of our own energy. So I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but nobody's really, 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 really doing anything to you. You're literally doing it to yourself. So you are responsible for your environment. I'm not saying that this is not about fault. I'm not saying you are at fault, you are guilty for this. No, I'm saying that everything we create in our environment is because we are either a decision that we made in the past that brought an outcome right now in this right moment, or a decision we didn't make and that we should make and we didn't make, and it actually showed us where we need to actually change and shift, or a boundary that we didn't set. Yeah, so all of those threes are literally the causes of any of your problems in your life, because they're not really problems, they're lessons. They're mirrors for you to actually be empowered to bring back power back and go, hey, no, I don't want to micromanage. I don't want to be in fear. I want to trust life. I want to trust people. I want to trust that I'm supported. I want to trust, and I'm trusting that life has my back. And I don't have to think about who I'm going to meet. I don't have to think about how they're going to behave. I don't have to think about that because I know God, universe, creator, whatever you want to call it, has my back. And if I love myself, if I am, exactly what I believe I am, and I trust myself, then everything else will just mirror that. And this is not me saying, in your head, I'm convincing myself I trust everyone. It's like you need to really have a feeling that you trust. You need to have it in your body, an experience of an emotion in your body. Okay, so ways to see their perspective with compassion while staying true to yourself. So this is a great exercise for anyone, yeah, to actually look at. So you can view their actions as echoes of your patterns. Yeah, so like mirror echo, but coming back. The control comes from fear, like my suppression. So I'm suppressing emotions and I'm actually fearful to express them, and I'm literally controlling them. So I get a mirror of control back. So that's how the energy works. Or practice compassionate curiosity. So this would be an action. Ask inwardly yourself, what wound might drive this? So what wound within myself, what pattern within myself would actually cause this situation in my life to happen? What would drive this? So stay true by affirming your needs first. So you need to have your needs met. You need to set a boundary before you go and change anything else. Yeah, because then you're staying true to yourself. I'm going to leave this. I'm going to go to skills because we're going to have scenarios here anyway. So in skills is what we practice. So now we understand the pattern. We understand where it originates and we know how to support it when we need to regulate our emotions and our nervous system. We understand what will change if we change the patterns, if we approach it with action. We understand where these patterns are mimicked in our environment and we build empathy. Now we need to practice all of it. So how do we practice it? So, but integrating these insights means communicating authentically. So communication is always the key. If you're not communicating, nobody knows what you're feeling, nobody knows where you are, what you're thinking, anything. Yeah, but you need to honor your boundaries while communicating authentically and connections. And that's where compassion comes in. So focusing, so Angeline, you need to focus on clear, compassionate expression to shift patterns in relationships. So, for example, clear communication examples that you could use. For emotional suppression that we looked at, yeah, you can use, for example, instead of holding back, like you're not saying anything or you're quiet or you move away, yeah, you literally say, I'm feeling overwhelmed right now. Can we talk about it later? So this gives you a space to move away, to reflect, to have a breather, to actually gain your energy back so you can then approach it with compassion. Yeah, so this is a great boundary of your own space, especially if you're not willing to engage in that moment just yet. Yeah, for security, which is also trust, you can say, when overgiving, for example, that's something that you related with. When overgiving, you can express, I value our connection, but I need to prioritize my energy today. Yeah, can we chat another day? So you literally are expressing what you need to do. And it's really funny, you know, our society has learned to lie, like a white lie. I should not tell what I really feel and think because, you know, that might be, you know, causing certain problems. I will tell you right away, people will feel that you're lying. Even if they think that you're helping them and you don't want to hurt them, people will feel that something's off. So be honest. I'm not saying scream at them, I don't want to work with you, I don't want to talk to you. Yeah. I'm saying be honest and compassionate. Just say, I don't have the energy today. Are you okay if we catch up another day? And or I do value our connection, but I don't have the energy right now to actually deal with it. But I'm willing to do it this and this day. So be honest why you're saying certain things because that builds trust and connection. And people will feel the genuine vulnerability and they will feel your heart and they will feel your integrity. And that will build the trust and that will build the empathy because then you're teaching them that you're human. You're also teaching them that you also need support. You're also teaching them that you need to receive, not just give. And trust me, people will come back and go, oh my God, can I help you with something? Can I support you with in any way? You will find a different approach from people when you actually become honest and you start setting boundaries. Because when we have overgivers or people pleasers, and I guarantee you're not the only one here, I used to be as well, and sometimes still catch myself. We give but not don't know how to receive. And if you don't know how to receive, that's a problem because you can drain yourself really fast. Yeah. And then also in relationship, that also causes conflict because people would like to give you, but you don't actually receive back. And that doesn't bring reciprocity in relationships. Yeah. There's give and receive in relationship to actually build deeper connections. So this is a really important aspect. You also have how to set compassionate boundaries, express truth, and maintain healthy connections. So I'll give you these examples. We're not going to go through them, but and you have phrases as well that you can use if you want to use them in conversations. Yeah. How does this feel, Angeline?
Um, a bit too much to digest for the moment,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
do resonate with what you've actually said.
Yeah. So I'm going to send you this so you can read it. Yeah. That's why
Yeah.
I say I do this once a week and to take a look at the patterns and actually dedicate the time. And then I actually look at how I can change my vocabulary, how I can change my approach, how I can change my communication. So I can then practice throughout the week. And trust me, you'll get a lot of practice if you set an intention. And this is much deeper than just having a scan from Healy. This gives you an action plan of how to shift things in your reality. I know this can be a lot for some, and that's okay. You don't need to do it. Yeah, I'm just giving you tools that I use and I do. And if you don't want to use it, that's not a problem at all. I won't take it personally. I know what works for me and how I get the most out of Healy. And I love playing. So for me, growth is playing, and it's actually growing in a way as being in a sandbox as a kid, So taking this in takes a while, especially if you haven't been doing it, you know, before in this kind of depth. So start slow, Go one pattern at a time and do like 5 to 10 minutes of exercises per day, and then build again after a week and just keep going with the top pattern until you shift it. And when you do shift it, you will feel empowered and you will see the changes in your life, and you're going to feel freer, and you're going to see how the tool that you have as a Healy is actually an amazing tool to actually shift things that you've been holding on to or wanting to change and they've never changed before. And this is a great tool to actually be happier, which is what we all want. Yeah. Do you have any other questions, Angeline, or you're gonna stop here so you can rest and regenerate?
I'm quite happy over here now.
No worries. I'll send you all of this so you can process. If you have any questions, you can always message me.
Sure.
Yeah. Thank you for being a part of it today and being vulnerable. This is really, really, I know it's courageous, and thank you for doing this. I really wanted to express that. It takes a lot of courage to do this. Just wanted to know, let you know.
Thank you, Petra, for your sharing as well.
Thank you. Okay. So this is it. I'm gonna give you the prompt in the Facebook group as well. But if anybody any questions, otherwise we're going to close up. Oh, here we go. Ooh, hold the hands up. Nitya Lakshmi, you're up.
Hi Petra, it's lovely seeing you again. How are you doing?
Lovely seeing you too. Good. How are you?
I'm doing great too, thank you. So I have two questions here. One is we have the database analysis, right? In that we have 9 categories like flower, personal growth, Alexander gem flower. You can hear me, right?
Yeah, I'm just thinking, what are we talking about? So we're talking about
Database
the resonance.
analysis.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
So we have the 9 divisions in that, right? Like plant power, personal growth, social salt.
You mean in the emotional part of resonance?
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So in that
There's
9,
there's more
yeah.
of them depending on which type, like which Healy you bought and when you bought it. Like I have more than 9 because I bought a Healy like 4 or 5 years ago, and I have Materia Medica and all the old ones that you probably don't have. So there's, depending on when you bought the Healy, that's what databases you have.
Petra, can you hear me?
Yeah, it's a bit loud at the back, but yeah.
One second. How is it now?
No, I think your headphones disconnected.
One second.
That's okay. I can hear you.
Is this okay now?
Yeah, now I can hear you better. Yeah.
Perfect. Sorry, your audio got stuck. So can you repeat just what you were saying?
So I'm saying just that it depends on when you bought the Healy. That would mean that you would have different number of the databases in the emotional. Yeah, because I
Yeah.
have more because I bought the Healy, prior. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
Okay.
okay. Yeah, we're talking about the emotional resonance
Yeah.
databases. So what's the question around that?
So the question is, how to know, like, for what reason we have to choose homeopathy psyche, or for what reason we have to choose social salt, or the if you're choosing the Alaskan gem flower, so then what purpose it is going to serve, like that. How, where do I know about all the why we have to choose and what benefits we are going to get by choosing particular Alaskan gem flower or Australian bush flower? All those details, where can I have it?
Okay, so first, there is no need to choose one or the other. You can
Mm-hmm.
choose based on what you resonate with, yeah? And what you resonate with just means that you found the results that come back that give you the most insight that actually are understandable for you, yeah? So I've done trainings on a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at creative homeopathy, chisel salts, Bach flowers, Australian bush flowers, I am planning the Alaska gem elixirs I have promised you. So I'm going to put that in by the end of the year. And if you go into trainings, I literally tell you what I use them for. So
Okay.
Schüssel salts I use normally, although they can shift emotions and energetics, in the field. I normally like to use Schüssel salts to actually see what part of the body physically is affected. Yeah. Bach flowers are really good for emotional support if you have challenges that you can't, you get stuck in. Curative homeopathy is great for stresses. So where the pressure is coming, for example, if your nervous system is really agitated, which normally is when we look at the aura, the energy that's flowing, you want to look at the pressure that's coming from the outside or what pressure you feel from the inside. This is my approach. I like to look at the emotional resonances based on my astrological charts and my human design, because you can see, different energies. But that's just my approach. I'm not saying you have to do that. But the
Okay.
simplest way is Australian bush flowers, Bach flowers, and Alaskan gem elixirs are normally the emotional patterns. Yeah.
Okay.
The curative homeopathy will give you emotional patterns, but it's mostly stress. Yeah. So where the stress and the pressure is coming. Schussler salts are emotional states influencing the physical body. So this is the simplest way I can actually give you. Courage is all about frequency and emotions. And I've
Okay.
shared this in a group what courage is, because not all of you have courage, because I have personal growth as well, which all of you don't have. So personal growth is about mental patterns and emotional feelings. So this, as I said, depending on what your intention is, what you would like to get, yeah, you then practice of scanning different things and see if you get what you want out of it, like the clarity of it. I'm not saying what you want as I like this scan and I don't like this scan. I'm saying, is it this giving me the outcome of information and clarity that I need through the scan? Yeah.
Sure, Petra. Okay. So the
Yeah.
next question would be, so in that case, for me, I feel that I have so much of some kind of energy blockages. I don't know whether it's an energy blockage, but some kind of blockage is there, which is delaying my success. That I could see very well. So in that case, what are the programs can I run in the emotional part? I'm asking the database analysis.
You can do what we did today. Just choose choose an intention based on what you want. Yeah. And when you scan the aura, focus on that intention. When you go into the coaching, write that intention in there and, do the scan of the coaching based on that.
Okay.
And then with coaching, if I do want to go deeper, I normally choose, when you have the circle, right? You have the green ones, you have the orange, and then you have the deeper on orange and red. So I choose the top two that are the lowest. Yeah, so I chose the top
Okay.
two, and then I scan it based on that intention. And then I would actually use either, you can, if you have a business module, like the business module scanning, you can use that report with coaching and aura, and then pop it into AI and try that, and then see what the action plan is. Yeah.
Sure.
But you can approach it in so many different ways. But that's how I would probably do it, just by the top of the head.
Sure, Petra. So I'm asking, like in the nine thing, like in the database analysis, we have Australian bush flower and Bach flower. All those categories are there, no? Like the personal growth, courage, creative homeopathy, psyche. In that category, which one should I choose? I'm asking.
I will ask you, which one do you think you would choose?
No, I'm
Based
just
your
looking.
based on your intention, which one would you choose?
Hmm.
Just
No,
try
that's
it
what
out.
I'm. Okay.
Just try it out.
Sure.
Tell me. Just put something out there. What would you choose from the rest of the one that you've actually told me? Which one would you choose?
Okay. So I would say like social assault, maybe since it is related with energy field, emotional state,
Okay.
which influencing the
Okay.
physical.
So your intention is to see where the blockages are in order to get to your outcome of success, which you first need to define what the definition of success is. Yeah.
Okay.
And then if you have Australian bush flowers, Bach flowers, Schussler salts, creative homeopathy, and personal growth, which one is the closest to your success intention?
I would say anyone in the flower therapy or the personal growth.
Okay, why?
I don't know. I don't have a clear
I'm
picture.
testing you because you need to start understanding why you're using certain things, not to actually, this is not to judge you, it's to actually empower you. So you
Mm,
actually are able at home to choose um, consciously, but also consequentially to actually say, okay, so I'm focusing on success. Success is this and this and this and this. I define this as success. So in order to do that, I need to change things emotionally. I need to change things as my patterns, right? So we did a session the other day when we have belief system, thoughts,
mm,
emotions, feelings, our personality, which creates our reality. Yeah. So our personality is what we think, what we feel, what we actually do. Yeah. So if you want to change who you are, because if you want to become something and you want to achieve something, you will need to become a different person. So you
yeah.
need to figure out which emotions need to shift, which belief system and patterns need to shift.
Okay.
Yes. And then, of course, I need to understand where I'm losing energy or actually what needs to shift in order to grow.
Mm,
Yeah. So, which one would you choose to see emotional patterns?
okay. So when it comes to emotional pattern, I would say, you mean to like what I would choose to in when it comes
Yeah.
to emotional
What would
pattern,
you
right?
choose? Because
Okay.
I'm trying to empower you so you can be sovereign in what you're choosing, right?
Yeah. Okay. So when it comes to emotional pattern, I need to be a little more, what to say, grip oriented.
Oh, no, 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 no. Which scan would you choose?
Okay, which scan you're asking? Okay. So in terms of emotional pattern, I would say like either Australian bush flower or bark flower.
Good. Great. And also aura, because aura will give you
Or
energy and,
okay,
and emotional patterns. Amazing. You can choose either or. Yeah.
okay,
What about belief system and thought patterns? Which scan would you
okay.
choose for that?
So for the belief system, I would choose courage,
Yeah.
and for the thoughts, is it essential oil?
Yeah, that's more patterns of you can go in there, but it's you have other databases that will give you a more direct response.
Okay, I
So,
would
for
say
example, thought patterns and
I Ching.
beliefs,
Is it I Ching?
you can, but that means
Okay,
that you need to have a lot of awareness. Yeah. So,
okay,
I would choose thought patterns and belief system first and foremost coaching.
okay,
Second, personal growth. To shift the thoughts and patterns in a frequency, I would choose courage.
okay.
Yeah. What about the third one? Actions.
Action, I have to take it.
Yeah, you have to take it. But also, how do you get clarity on what actions you actually need to take?
Okay.
Scans on that.
Sorry, I don't know.
That's okay. You don't have to know. It's good. Thank you for being honest. Business
Okay.
module is actually great for this.
Okay.
So you see how now you know if you trust your intuition, you know.
Hmm.
You don't have to have me. You just need to think. Think about the structure you need to have in order to create something, and then apply scans based on that structure.
Okay.
And if you don't have structure, then just scan the scans and pop it into AI. Like seriously, you're gonna have structure in 3 minutes if you ask it. Yeah?
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
depending if you're open to it. I'm just saying, like, don't lose precious time
Mm.
analyzing things that you're losing energy over when you could be already making action. Yeah? So use the tools that you have in order to expand and do the right things for yourself.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Does this answer all your questions? I gave you a bit of a coaching session here.
Yeah, exactly. It was really lovely and helpful. Thank you so
Good.
much, Petra.
I hope everybody else learned something from it. Perfect. No worries, Niyama Lakshmi. Okay, cool. Upma, you're next.
Yeah. Hi. Hello, Petra. Thank you so much for the lovely session. Very informative. Lots and
You're
lots of
welcome.
yeah. So a very small question. So when initially you were doing that you uploaded 3 files, right? Aura, coaching, and homeopathy, which is the ones you were suggesting for aura, like to recognize the patterns. Correct me if I'm wrong. Coaching to recognize the beliefs and the thoughts, and homeopathy for the stress patterns, right? So did you write also anything like what to do to grow,
Yeah.
or was it just
No,
upload?
that's the prompt. We call it a
Yeah,
prompt. So share
yeah.
again.
Prompt.
So this is here. This is the prompt that, where am I? Losing my screens. So this is a whole big prompt, a long prompt that we say to AI, this is the information that I want you to do. This is how you do it. Use this step by step. So it literally says, hi, you name it. You can call it and Tina, I don't really care. It's a machine, yeah? So have a relationship with the machine. So you just go, thank you for helping me with this process. I have attached 3 Healy scans, aura coaching, and accredited homeopathy. So if you're uploading a different type of scan, just change this into different type of scans, yeah? And then along with an additional document for reference, which is in a point 2. So the additional document is the chakra cheat sheet, yeah, which is literally the how to interpret the scans, yeah. So could you please analyze the scans based on the steps below and present the results together in one clear and concise document I can easily download, copy, or save for my own use? So depending on the AI, it will give you a document or it will give you a copy paste option, so you can copy paste it into like a Google document or a Word document, yeah, and then you can pop it into your own computer, and then it will analyze your reports based on the 5 pillars of emotional intelligence, which I've put in here, and actually put all the demands for AI to analyze it based on that. You can always change it if you want to. Yeah, I've done all this work because I've been doing this on myself. I've done all this work, and all you have to do is copy paste. That's all you have to do, and pop the scans in, and it will do the work for you in like less than a minute. Yeah, and then all you have to do is literally reflect, sit down, reflect, yeah, and do the action steps. Because if you don't do the action steps, nothing's going to change.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I did it a while ago using ChatGPT, but this was like more beautiful approach wherein we are using the files and all of that. So that's really nice.
Yes, ChatGPT. Okay, I have like 20 different AIs. So I'm sorry. I like in my business I use AI a lot. It's my assistant and everything. But I found that ChatGPT, if you don't want to pay for it, so I gave you options for a free version. Yeah, I have paid AIs, right? But if you don't want to pay for it, the Grok version currently is actually the best. So Grok is literally XAI, which is the Elon Musk's X, which is previous Twitter. He created Grok based on the XAI platform. So it's currently one of the best ones that it's developing. Of course, this is changing every month because everybody's fighting for this space. But Grok is free, and you can upload as many documents as you want. With ChatGPT free version, you can only upload 3 documents before it cuts you, and you can't actually write anything or do anything. So Grok you can still communicate with it and ask its question later on. So that's why I gave you this option, but there's so many other different AIs that you can use, and please use whatever feels right for you. Today AI can do so many things that, yeah, I don't even want to go there because a lot of people are scared of it. And I'm not saying don't give power to AI because, right now we are in such a extreme growth that we need to be really discerning of what we're doing, how we're doing, and even the information that's coming from AI, make sure that you discern what you're using and how you're using it, and do not just go by what AI tells you. Yeah, check with yourself if this resonates. Check with yourself, is this something I want to do? Is this something that's helping me? Otherwise, don't do it. Yeah, it's always your discernment.
Right. Sure. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. No worries. Okay. Last hand up, and it is Rajesh. You are now on.
Hi Petra, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, good. Okay, so Petra, a quick question for you. So using the Blue app, can we give healing for 12 to 8 to 10 or 12 hours to a person? Does it have any side effects? And we are following the meridian clock. We are following the
Okay.
meridian clock. And so basis the meridian clock, basis the organ clock, we are giving healing to a certain person. And the timings are from the morning, let's say around 10 o'clock to night 10 o'clock. So what
So
effects does it have?
what are you vibrating? The meridian module list, or are you vibrating just normal resonance lists of all Healy programs and aura coaching?
So these are bioenergetic vitalization, the meridian clock,
So
and then also
the all Healy programs. So when you scan
all
the all
Healy
Healy,
programs.
and then all
Correct,
the lists within that, you're sending that out.
correct, and also bark flowers, and also a little bit of bark
Okay.
flower, and also a little bit of aura cleansing.
So how many
Aura
lists per day are you doing
around
for
six
this
to eight
person?
lists per day. 6 to 8 lists per day. Is that too much?
Okay. So first of all, if the person is in a really fragile state, yeah. So for me, I've been using energy since I was 7 years old. I've been vibrating frequencies from Healy for 5 years. Yeah. I can right now with Healy, with high wave. Yeah. My body loves high wave. Like seriously, I'm completely addicted to this. My Healy battery goes out, and I still want to do programs. So, but that's me. Don't do me, okay? My body loves right now Healy high wave, and I do about 5, 6 programs per day with high wave, and I do about 5, 6, 7, about 8 lists of resonance right now for me, because I'm shifting things so fast. This is not a normal thing, yeah? And this is not what Healy recommends. So this is my experience, and I can share my experience with people that are fragile, that are sick, or that are recovering, or that are lower on energy. So if you scan their aura, and their aura is around 50%, 60%, 40%, yeah, that means that they don't have enough energy within the body to actually assimilate and integrate the frequencies. So you need to be really mindful of how you're actually applying frequencies and for how long. So ideally, I wouldn't do more than, for that person, I wouldn't do more than 3 to 5 lists. Ideally, Healy says no more than 3 lists, but I wouldn't do more than 5. Yeah, if you want to target all the areas. So I would do interchangeably. For example, I would do Mind Day. I would focus on all Healy programs and do all the 5 lists, 6 lists. Yeah, with all Healy if you want for the shorter amount of time. And the next day I would focus on emotions. Yeah, and I would do, I don't know, 3 to 5 lists of aura or salts or any resonances that are in emotional area. Yeah, and then I would go back to physical. So why I would do that? Because if you overwhelm the body actually needs to use more energy in order to integrate frequency. So it's not going to benefit from it. And that person being in a fragile state would actually have more detoxification and side effects instead of actually healing. So I like to start with anyone that has not been using frequency at all, really small, 3 lists max, and start with like a minute or 2 minutes. Yeah. And then after we go to 6, 12 minutes. And if things are not moving, yeah, if things are slowly moving, then I would do like one of the lists, like salts, which are like emotional and physical elements. Or I would do an aura, which opens up the flow of energy. And I would do it 8 hours overnight and only once. Yeah, and then I would go back to vibrating for 2 minutes or 6 minutes or 12 minutes. So I'm not saying that that's for everyone. I'm saying that that's for people that are fragile, people that have more capacity in their energetic field, so higher capacity of energy, like in aura over 70%, they would be able to cope with more frequencies. But if their nervous system is really agitated, and if they are not sleeping well, then you also need to be mindful of how many frequencies you apply. Because the more frequency you apply, the more you agitate your nervous system if it's not balanced. I'm not saying frequencies agitate nervous system. I'm saying if your nervous system is not balanced, you will be most likely be more agitated when you are receiving frequencies if they are overload. So less is more at the beginning. So I take about a month of adjustment. Yeah. And then when I see the responses of the body, and you can see that after a few days, you can see that after a week, you can see that after 2 weeks, and you can actually start building on the long timings more. But I normally, even for myself, I don't go over 27 minutes unless it's something that I need to do overnight, that I need to really go deeper and actually move the patterns. Because when we sleep, we are out of the body, so the energy is open, so we have more options to shift. So just be mindful, because frequencies, everything we can overload, especially if our body is not able to accept it yet. So make sure that you go slow and really consistent, and then build on that, because that will give better results to the body than something to just blast it all on someone, and you can drown them in frequencies. Yeah, because the body doesn't know how to cope with all of that new energy. Does that make sense?
It does. And a follow-on question here, Petra, would be, so suppose if we have a property created as a client in the Healy Blue app, right?
Yep.
For what's the duration of frequency that can be given to a property? Can a property be given frequency for 8 hours or something? So can we
Yep.
use
Yep.
can we use
Unless
what?
somebody is living in there. So just be mindful. If you're buying a property where somebody is actually living in there, please do not blast them with
No,
frequency
let's say
over 8 hours.
if we are living in a certain home,
Yep.
if a family is living in, if let's say my family is living in that house, and if we give healing to a certain property, can we give it for 8 hours?
As I said, if somebody's living in there, you need to expect that if you send frequency to a space or to a property, yeah, it will influence immediately anyone living in there.
Okay.
Because we are intertwined. So I will tell you this from my own experience. So my house is energetically boundaried. Yeah. So I have energetic boundaries. I have closed space. So if something happens within the house, if I'm not okay, the energy of the house shifts. And people feel it. So if you change the frequency of the space, anybody living in there will feel it. So if you're overloading the frequency of the house, and people in there are not actually capable and don't have the capacity to actually cope with that shift, then you can have people getting sick. I had people had vertigo because there was too much energy moving through the body. So you need to be really mindful. Although you think it's a property, if it's an empty property, go ahead. I normally do every night 8 hours. Yeah. But if it's not empty property, then it's actually tied to someone. Then you need to actually think ahead and go, okay, who's living in there? Do they have the capacity to actually cope with this frequency? And what is the intention of vibing to the house? Or are you wanting to change the frequency of the people? Or what do you want to change in the house? Do you want to change the environment? What is the intention? So you need to be mindful, because we're now working with the space. It's not just physical matter. Yeah, so it's influencing us all. So just be mindful of the people that are in there, so adjust according to the capacity of the people living in there. Does that make sense?
It does. Petra, I've heard Marcus Schemke talk about stem cell transplant and regenerative programs being offered by Healy, correct?
Yeah.
Now,
Stem cell transplant, no, but stem cell activation, yes.
stem cell activation and stem cell
And
regeneration, right?
DNA regeneration, yes.
DNA regeneration. So yes, I have heard Marcus Schemke talk about that in one of his YouTube videos, right? Now, when an organ needs to be regenerated or needs to be energized, now we'll take an example here. Let's say if it is diabetes type 1, wherein the insulin production is very low, right?
Yep.
So this is a slightly tough, tough question, but I hope you can answer it, right? So diabetes type
I'm
1.
not a doctor. I'm not a doctor, so I
So
can't
not an
answer
answer,
medical
but yes,
question.
not a medical question. So, but on the energy, but from the energy perspective, right? So
Mhm.
with diabetes type 1, wherein the body is not producing enough insulin.
Yep.
So what can be done in the Blue app to trigger the beta cells in the pancreas and to increase the insulin production?
Okay, so I think this question is really linear. Yeah, so we are used to asking questions that are really linear because we are used to having cause and effect and symptoms, and that's how it was, and let's just cut an organ out and that's going to fix everything. So that's a really 2D way of looking at any situation within our body. So my question is always, right, when you ask me all these questions and you're not the first one, and I'm going to repeat again, don't ask what program you can use in order to fix that. Ask what needs to happen in the body to change back to balance and what actually happened in order for this to occur. So diabetes type 1 is that means that there was too much usage of insulin if that was occurred in the future. For example, it was not from birth, it was somewhere, I don't know, at age of 20. I'm just caricature here, right? So we are metaphorically having a conversation. If this occurred at age 20, right, it means that the body was overusing insulin. That means that there was too much glucose in the body and the body didn't know what to do with it, and it needs to pump insulin out in order to balance your sugars in order for you not to die. Yeah? So if diabetes 1 means that the body is not producing enough insulin anymore, it means that it actually depleted its storage. It's not properly working anymore. So that means that there's a lifestyle shift that needs to happen first, yeah? Then a regeneration needs to happen. So that means that insulin balance and glucose levels need to actually balance. Hormones need to balance. Inflammation needs to lower. There's so many things that actually need to shift within the body in order to actually even get to the point of regenerating pancreas. So we need to think reverse engineering. So this is the frequency and quantum approach is not a linear approach. And we need to start thinking, why did this happen? Then reverse engineer what really happened along the way, because pancreas doesn't just give in unless there's a genetic malformation. It doesn't just give in if it didn't have a reason for it. So we need to start thinking consequentially. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And so let's say, the points that you've made are valid, okay? We talk about lifestyle changes, we talk about diet, we talk about sleep patterns, we talk about hormones, we talk about exercise patterns, right?
But
So
that means also programs to support that, every
correct,
aspect on that journey, yeah?
correct.
So the
But
body
yes,
can create an environment in order to heal itself.
makes sense. But yes, I'll come back to my question, okay?
Okay.
So yeah, let's say if all of what you've mentioned is in place, right? The diet is correct. The diet modifications have been done. The diet is sattvic and diet is clean, vegan, plant-based, and more of raw food, more of salads, and more of fruits. Okay, and if the
Okay.
exercise
I will
routine,
tell you
hmm,
right away
the
that
programs.
the new research actually shows a different approach
Okay,
for insulin, but that's okay. If you want to ask a question to actually what programs to use in order to activate the pancreas in order to start
pancreas.
producing insulin, As I said, if you put everything else in place, your pancreas will start healing anyway. But you have your Healy Advisor search module, yeah, which is the
Okay.
app, which you can put that in, and then you can, there's a program, spleen and pancreas, yeah, in your meridians. There is bioenergetic vitalization where you regenerate your cell and stem cells in your body. There's so many trainings I've done on hormones, on inflammation, on everything you want. So if you go and look at the trainings, you can find all the programs, but the Healy app itself, Healy Advisor search module, will actually give you all the programs you need that are available in there. If you write any concerns in there, and it will actually pop that out. But as I said, I'm not a doctor, so any programs we use here are not to treat, mitigate, cure any disease or symptoms. They're actually to create an environment in the body. That's why you're asking, I'm just saying, you're asking the wrong question. And if you're asking the wrong question, you're going to get a wrong answer and a wrong outcome. So you need to start reverse thinking. So you need to start going, okay, I can support pancreas, I can support spleen, but I also need to support liver. Because if I want to
it's the entire digestive tract. It's also the intestines. It's also the gallbladder. It's all of them.
Correct. And that's why I'm saying that as soon as one of them starts healing, it will create a domino effect in the body anyway. And I know that because I've healed my body. So I understand that, and I did that without Healy anyway. I'm just saying that we are asking the wrong questions. And that's why we get into trouble, because we don't get the outcomes that we want because we start at the wrong place. So just
So if you,
saying, try thinking in a different way.
so let me understand this. So if you were in my place, what's the kind of question that you would have in your head, and how would you move ahead?
As I said before, what
Uh-huh.
caused it?
What caused it? Okay, fair enough.
And then looking at that and consequentially eliminating things that were literally bringing
Triggered it.
this, yeah, not just trigger it, like what actions, what thoughts, thought patterns, emotions, situations, relationships, diet, stress, exercise, all of that, what is influencing and why did the body came to this situation? Because that is the body's response of going, that's the only thing I can do in order to keep you safe.
Got it.
So you need to go back. Yeah.
What caused
Okay.
it? Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, now it's 5 to 9 here, so I'm just going to stop because I think we've been too long. So if you have any questions, please pop them into the Facebook group. I always try to answer there. If there's anything else that is on your mind, I'm always in the Facebook group. Otherwise, Christy's next week, and I'll be seeing you in 2 weeks. If nothing changes, we are upgrading what we have today into relationships. So we're going to look at an approach where we can look at how to resolve situations in relationships and how you can bring more compassion and look at mirrors within your relationships so you can build that more and better. Yeah. Have a great night. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.